What is going on, guys? It's me. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are looking at Pharaoh Pepi I. You can also go by the name Pepi I. However, most of his monuments call him Pepi and not Papi. But regardless, he is considered one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, especially for the late period. He ruled from 23rd century BCE to 2246 BCE. So he is in that 6th Dynasty right at the end of the Old Kingdom, which will lead us into the first intermediate period. He had many accomplishments during his reign. He left behind some great pyramids. He was an amazing builder. He was a successful military leader. And it has been said that he was very handsome too. His mother was Queen Etet, and she was the wife of Pharaoh Unas. And his father was Yefti I, so he was actually the grandson of Pharaoh Unas. The reason why he became pharaoh is because his uncle Teti died and left the throne vacant. Now, when looking at this guy, he looks like every other Egyptian pharaoh, right? I mean, he looks very Egyptian, but if you look close, there are some similarities to his namesake, Pepi II. Now, whether or not they are related, I couldn't tell you. There is a gap of about 100 years between them. So maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe they just look similar. Whatever the case may be, I feel like these two need to get their act together with naming things. This isn't the only time someone comes along after a long stretch and takes a name that someone else used to have. Before we get into his accomplishments and his life story, I just want to say thank you to our top patrons. We really appreciate your help. If you would like to see your name on the screen, then join our membership program. So his reign was actually pretty violent. There were a lot of enemies both outside of Egypt and inside of Egypt. He had to deal with those Nubian raiders down south and the Asiatics up north, but there was also unrest in Egypt itself. The nomarchs of Thebes and Heracleopolis were causing problems, so he had to put down rebellions and he had to fight wars. That being said, he did accomplish a lot, and he did expand the empire quite a bit. He set out to defeat the Nubians and bring all of the riches of the south back to Egypt. Nubia was raiding the southern Egyptian towns and cities, and he wanted to stop that. So he marched south with his army and defeated the Nubians. They never really went into Egypt again. He even built a fortress at the border of Nubia just to make sure they wouldn't cross over. He pushed his borders down south almost to the 22nd parallel. The reason why he was able to do this was because he had a strong military. He maintained the military might that previous pharaohs had. He had chariots, he had infantry, he had archers, he even had some navy ships. Yeah, despite having no real access to the sea, they still had some ships. These ships were used more so on the Nile River to control it and protect it. The ships were also used to travel to Byblos in the Mediterranean to retrieve cedar wood. This was used for building projects around Egypt, especially for making the famous Egyptian tripods. He wasn't just a military man. He was a great builder and architect, too. He built a pyramid at Saqqara, and although it's ruined now, it was once grand. It was built out of granite and it was 3 stories tall. There was a chapel on each level, and the interior was filled with treasure. There were no human sacrifices to get into the afterlife. He expected everyone to earn their way. On top of that pyramid, he built a mortuary temple that was connected to it by a causeway. He even had craftsmen living on the premises to take care of the upkeep on everything. The workshops included weavers, carpenters, metalworkers, stonemasons, and scribes. He wanted people to live there and work there, taking care of his legacy. Unfortunately, this was looted hundreds of years ago, and the site was used as a quarry for other projects. So what once stood proud is now rubble. He did build another pyramid for himself at Abusir, and that one is still standing, well, kind of. It's also made out of granite, and it was meant to be 3 stories tall, just like the other one. But unfortunately, construction was halted before the second layer could be completed. There are some satellite images that show what it would have looked like if they finished the pyramid. Either way, there are 4 subsidiary pyramids that surround the main pyramid, and those are intact. They are small pyramids that were built for his queens and family members. The complex also includes a mortuary temple, and it's right on the edge of the desert. You can see how dry it is around here, so getting all those granite blocks from wherever they got them to here was quite a task. Also, there is a much bigger pyramid here that belongs to his successor, Menre-Nemtiemhat. I'm hoping to cover him in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned. Another place he built was at Karnak. He constructed a festival hall and a huge treasury. He didn't miss when it came to building projects. He loved to build temples and chapels and storehouses. He was always trying to leave something behind. He also had a palace at Memphis, and he built a temple there too. He was building everywhere. He must have had a good economy to support all these projects. He did have one setback when he lost his son and heir, also named Pepi, in a battle with the Nubians. But he recovered from that, and he continued his campaigns against them. He even went as far as the 21st parallel on some occasions. Not only was he a builder and a warrior, he was a patron of the arts too. There was a seated statue of him found that dates back to his son's reign, so shortly after he died. The statue shows him holding two Ankh symbols, and he has the royal beard. One thing I love about Egyptian art is the fact that they always showed the rulers with the royal beard. Even if the rest of the people didn't have beards, the ruler always did. I think it was to emphasize their authority and power. I know it's just a little detail, but it always stood out to me when I saw these statues and paintings. But let's talk about the main reason why he's considered one of the best pharaohs. That would be the redistribution of land. He gave the nomarchs and the rich landowners less land to work with, and he gave the peasants and farmers more. This led to a decrease in taxes and a happier population. They benefited greatly from this. Now, depending on who you talk to, this might not have been such a good thing. Some scholars believe that this policy helped keep the peace and stability within Egypt and that it helped him rule better. Other scholars believe that this was disastrous for Egypt and that it hurt productivity and that it contributed to the fall of the 6th Dynasty. They say that it caused social disorder and political intrigue and that it brought Egypt to its knees. Now, I don't know where they're getting this stuff because all I've heard is good things about him. I've read in several places that he was very popular and he was very beloved. His people loved him, and his successors kept coming back to him as an example of how a pharaoh should rule. Even though he tried to maintain order and peace throughout the country, he did succumb to some rebellions. Nomarchs from Heracleopolis and Thebes took advantage of his northern campaigns and briefly seized control of Egypt. When he returned home, he crushed them and put down the rebellion. Then he was able to go back to the north and continue fighting the Asiatics. He was never really bothered by internal issues again. He died after a 24-year reign and was succeeded by his daughter, Queen Itet. She was married to a man named Menre-Nemtiemhat, and he took the throne after her. Some scholars say that she was the one ruling behind the scenes, but I've never read anything to support that. I'm not saying it's false, but I haven't seen anything yet. I'll keep my eyes open. So, overall, he was considered a good pharaoh, and he had a very decent run at it. He accomplished a lot, and he left behind a lot of buildings and structures that still stand today. Egypt was probably in good shape when he died, besides the whole having to hand over the throne to a woman thing. I don't know how the Egyptians felt about women rulers, but I'm sure he had his reasons for choosing her. If you guys enjoyed this video, then check out the playlist for more videos like this one. Also, if you'd like to support us, then check out our support page. Thank you to everyone already supporting us. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.